it's always hard to kind of not to give up. So, but I would say I was kind of keep trying to find the right solution. But during that time, I did a good thing. I decided to invest into building a community. And I think that's what fueled up our current growth and acceleration.
Welcome to the SaaS SEO Show. It's your host, George Hasiotis, and today I'm really excited to be joined by a good partner and above all, a friend, Alexandra Tachalova. And we are going to be discussing very interesting things around link building and how you should approach the topic of guest posting and building authority for your website through acquiring high quality and valuable backlinks. Alexandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Georgios. Appreciate that. Well, always love to chat about link building. Well, I have to say that my heart always skips a bit when I hear the word link building.
Yeah, okay, that's great.
Might be a professional one.
I see. So, the first thing that I'd like to ask, you are leading an agency, Digital Olympus, and you are a link building agency, okay, primarily a link building agency. And I remember that we met sometime in 2020, and which is not, a long ago. But back then, if I remember correctly, you were about 2-3 people at the agency, and right now, within this very short time frame, you're about 15 plus people, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd like to ask, first of all, obviously, what you guys do, what Digital Olympus is and what you guys do. And then I'm very curious, what fueled that growth within such a short time frame for you guys?
Okay, so let me start, put a step back, I would say, and say that, so everything I think, when it comes to my personal solo journey as a business owner, I guess started more than 6 years ago. And I have to say that it wasn't really a very successful journey. At the very beginning. So I've been just, failing and trying mostly, not really succeeding. And I think Digital Olympus, as we see it right now, it just sums up all those, tough 6 years that I've been just, trying and not giving up. Because I think the main thing in our entrepreneur journey is that you need to keep trying and to keep looking for new opportunities, even though sometimes it's not only hard because of your financial situation or anything like that. It's more it's more on an emotional side solution. But during that time, I did a good thing. I decided to invest into building a community. And I think that's what fueled up our current growth and acceleration. So we, even though as an agency, we are very young and we are just babies. I consider Digital Olympus as a kid in terms of not my kid, but as a kid in terms of first of all, you're a baby, then you're growing up a little, then you're a teenager and so on. A company, a journey in terms of comparing a human journey versus a company journey. I guess, that's what most probably differentiates us from the rest of other agencies. And Digital Olympus, initially it was a conference. Right now it has at the same time an agency and conference. Before that we were just a conference. Okay. And so before that we were just a community.
So you started as a community, then conference. And obviously then
Yeah, we were like kind of, I want to point out, we were kind of a very useless community because we had no idea how to monetize this. So we were kind of
okay, I see.
very,
Yeah.
very weight community.
Okay, I see. But it all started from that, yeah, like building a community around things that had to do with link building, I guess, or all
No,
around
it
like
was just a generic
SEO,
one.
digital marketing, and
Yeah, just a generic one in our situation. But one more time, I don't think there's something that you need to follow, because I know that everyone is looking for a fast track here in business.
I
But
see.
I don't think that's something you need to copy, because it was like more like something that, like, during experiments, trial and error, that's something that happened. So no plans at all.
Okay, I see. Yeah, but I'd like to dive a bit deeper into that and try to understand what led you to make the decision to start an agency, because you could do other things like, I don't know, since you had the community already, you could, for example, sell online courses or something.
Yeah, we've thought about this.
Yeah, something in this line and
Sure.
those lines.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know what essentially made you say that, okay, let's try at least in the beginning to see how this could work as a link building service, as a link building agency.
Okay, so basically we've been trying to monetize not only our community, but our connections. So during that, the last 6-7 years, we really built a big network and people that we know. And I thought, okay, what can be an option of using those connections basically? And link building comes very natural in kind of that situation. I don't really remember exactly when we decided to kind of give it a try. Most probably that was maybe 2 years ago, because I always I am that type of a business owner that's postponing announcing anything. Not just because I'm afraid of something, but I'm more afraid that that's real. I mean, like, I'm always like, kind of trying to double check that that's really happening with me.
I had the
So
same
most probably,
I had the same thing for the SaaS SEO. So I remember that, like, we were discussing it a lot internally. Are we going to do this? How is it, even for the name, how is this going to sound? And we were debating on many things, such as the fact that, do we have to do it, call it SaaS SEO, or do something different that's not so focused on content SEO strategies for SaaS. But I realized that when you, as you correctly put it, when you announce it, it's kind of becoming real, even if you haven't started yet.
Yeah.
So
also, you might be like, it's really easy to announce something, but then failed. So I always kind of trying to skip that.
Yeah.
Well, all my previous history tells me that failing, failures, that's a part of my journey.
Yeah.
Well, I am okay with that. I'm not trying to say that I'm not really kind of, I don't know, like a person that's always failing, but I understand that that might happen. And I used to be in different situations, like any business owner, any person that does something related to business. I've been into different situations that actually taught me something very important, that sometimes postponing, not always, it might, then, like, first you learn that you need to kind of get it slow and not really to be too fast. Yeah. But once you're getting into that and you're really growing and you see that your business, reaching new heights, you need to kind of get rid of this behavioral pattern.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of trying to get rid of it, because I'm kind of blocking a lot of process in our company, because I always kind of postponing.
I think that
to make a final decision.
To a certain extent, yeah. So, but as you mentioned, like, as the person who is leading the effort and who's leading the company, yeah, you should lead by example and say that, you know what, if we can do something and finish with this something today, let's do it.
Yeah, it also brings a lot of responsibility, because I'm that type of business owner that thinks a lot about people that work for me, and I'm responsible for, like, you know, for keeping our revenue streams, for paying them salary. And I'm very concerned about this, that extra stress in my life, I have to say, because hiring someone new, it's always like, it's very hard, because I feel like I'm adding additional responsibilities.
Yeah, I think that this is something that most business owners have in their minds, you know.
I hope so, because I see a lot of, like, you know, people at least that are not so concerned about this. They just, you know, let it go, I would say, because they are more, they more care about their business rather than people that work for them. And I've been, like, kind of involved in such situations, not personally, but I've heard a lot of stories, I would say. I would say it's not a common scenario.
Yeah,
and maybe that's something that not really allowing us to be even more successful, because while you kind of forget about all those things, and you're really, like, you know, strictly focused on growing your business, and you don't care about anything, you might be way more successful, most probably.
I get your point, even though I really believe that when you're focused on people, and not just, you know, employees and team members, but also partners,
for sure,
customers, clients, everyone, I think that in the long term you will have higher gains out of all this. And this leads me to the next question, which is how it is like being responsible for, I don't know how many people you are right now, but I guess
20, I think, around 20.
How it is like being responsible for 20 people. And also something that's very interesting, and I'd like to discuss how it is like being three people in 2020, and being almost 20 people now in 2021. And I would like to see how it's like in terms of processes as well, because I guess that as an agency, you have to find ways to not only maintain, but since you are scaling, scale your process and make sure that this is something solid.
Yeah. So I have to say that when you have the number of people that work for your company not more than 10, then you can manage everyone directly, basically. Once you have more than 10, it's like in an army, you need to create separate groups. Basically, following this logic, also this, I think in Digital Olympus, that happened quite naturally. So we started to create, I started to create those groups based on some similar characteristic, I would say. So in our case, that was industries. So basically we created divisions. But the main struggle for us was that I'm more, I can't say that I don't like managers, but with, like, you know, before some time and still right now, we've been trying to be, like, you know, avoiding managers. So, but I think at the moment we come to a point that we need to have like kind of team leaders, and we have them. And so for us, the biggest challenge is to hire new, let's say, like team leaders for some groups of link builders, for some divisions of link building. Because I would say it's very hard to hire a decent link builder that would, like, you know, not only looking at the process, how we look at it in terms of, like, you know, different processes and different, I would say,
angles,
quality, angles, and
as to how link building is done.
How link building is delivered. But it's more about, like, you know, also trying to find just people that will also fit your company's culture.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are right now, I think, actually we hired the first lady for our human resources department. She will join us next month because we are liking this. We'd love to build like kind of not only a brand as Digital Olympus as a link building agency, but also as a place where you'd love to work at. And so you have something to show. And basically we need to kind of standardize all those things. So people kind of like, for us, because I don't know, do you have a lot of employees that work remotely or they are all based in Greece? That's a question to you.
We all work remotely. Yeah, we have people here in Greece, but in different cities. But we also have people in London. We have one of our team members is, I think, somewhere in Indonesia or something like that. She's from England, but she's living in Indonesia. So yeah, we are not based in Greece, or we don't
so
have an
you
office.
Understand, like, my struggle right now, that all people, they are kind of working remotely. So basically we don't really have too many chances to meet face to face, but we do this. Actually, we did this in July. So we brought the whole Digital Olympus team to one place and we worked together for 1 week. That's the next time we are going to meet in November, December. So we do this on a quarterly basis because I feel that this really helps us. But one more time, when you join a team of, let's say, like individual that all work in different places, you don't really feel any connections. So it's very hard to build some kind of bonds. And you need something, most probably you need some documentation, you need some even like, photos that you can look through in order to understand what kind of people work at this company. So you kind of better understand their feelings as well, because empathy is very important when you communicate with other people and when you understand better what they love, what they dislike. And this really helps.
I understand what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense. Like nothing can replace, I would say, this human touch and communication. And obviously, remote is great, but it has its own like difficulties, and it's not for everyone, I guess. I would like to shift gears a bit and focus a bit more on the link building aspect of Digital Olympus. Now, let's say we have people in the audience who don't know, a thing about link building. Okay, so how would you describe link building to a person who doesn't know? Okay, and they want to know what is that Digital Olympus and other, service providers and link builders are doing on a website. How would you describe that?
Oh, that's very hard because I guess we used to had this conversation with some employees, because some of my colleagues, they need to explain this to their family, what they do. So we kind of came up with the following definition, which might be not really business related. I would say most probably for businesses, I would come up with something more solid, more related to just, to what they do. But let's imagine that, like, what is newspapers basically. So what we do basically, we allocate mentions of companies in newspapers and any, like, printable media outlets, and that's what we do. That was before the rise of the internet. Most probably that was link building before that.
Okay, that's an interesting analogy. I haven't heard.
Also, you can use one more. So basically, it's similar to kind of, I would say, links can be considered as recommendations. So you have your neighborhood, and you make sure that people that live in your neighborhood, they know about you and they casually recommend you.
Okay, I see.
Because you know what? It's like, if you consider websites as your neighbors, and basically website that create a neighborhood around your business. And they recommend, because that's recommends your website, because if you link to something, basically you say, this is solid, this is a trustworthy page, and that's the reason why I add a link back to this page. And that's how Google actually looks at this. In a nutshell, for sure, it's way more complex, but if kind of put all the complex things aside and look at this in a very simple way, I would say something like this. That's the reason why your neighborhood should be very solid and should be relevant and quality.
Yeah, I see. I like this analogy as well. Of course, here a question could be, why is this important, and obviously, since we are talking about an action that I guess helps in getting higher rankings, for example, higher positions for terms that are of interest to you, someone could ask, okay, we can invest that, and we can hire an agency, but can't we build this operation in-house? And I'm only saying that because both you and I, we have conversations with founders, on a weekly basis, or even on a daily basis, I would say. And I remember it was a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with a founder of a SaaS company that's growing really, really fast. Okay. And part of their growth, I would say the biggest part, because he shared with me the data, actually, he shared with me his screen from Google Analytics, and he showed me that, this is what's happening. We acquire the vast majority of our new users, then paying customers, from organic search. And part of that is a link building operation that they have built in-house. Okay. And so we had the discussion whether you should do that in-house or you should outsource it to a freelance link builder or an agency. And I would like to hear your thoughts, because I know that this is something, and I guess I'd like to hear from you as well, that people have in mind when they are engaged in a conversation around link building.
So first of all, I have to say nothing. If you have an opportunity, or you've already built a good in-house link building team, nothing can be better than this, because those people really knows your business, and if they are really good link builders, they are way more interested in building top, not only quality links, I would say, but the best of the best. Because one more time, while here we are Digital Olympus and some other agencies, they are all, let's say we are all interested in building quality links back to our clients. We don't really just have the time and resource to kind of do that very precisely, because we are not there in place, and we are not really motivated. We are motivated, but we are not as motivated as in place.
Yeah, I get it. But still, don't you think, as I see it, and this is, by the way, our recommendation to our clients as well, okay, you have an operation around link building in-house, that's great. But this, obviously, if you have the budget and you can afford the service, this doesn't stop you, can't stop you from hiring an agency as well. Because as I see it, and we have worked together, and I've seen the quality of your work and how fast you're able to deliver, having an agency is allows you to get things off the ground faster.
Yes,
you don't have to onboard people, to train them, to set up processes, to show them how to use a cold outreach tool, to show them how to do prospecting and things like that. While with an agency, in most cases, I hope it's plug and play. We bring you guys on board, and that's it. We don't have to explain many things, rather than, I guess, what are our target pages.
Yeah, like everything, if you have pros, you have cons as well, like everything in this life. So yeah, for sure, you're right. So first of all, I would love to say about timing. If you even if you have a really good link building team in-house, and we have clients actually that have their own in-house link building teams, they might still not be in a position of doing some particular tasks. So for instance, building links to commercial pages, which is the biggest struggle actually. So while you might be very successful when it comes to pitching and getting links back to some informational pages, you might be stuck with the commercial ones because you don't know what kind of angle you need to take. You don't have the right relationships, which is very important here. While also, well, it makes sense to mention scalability. So while you hire an agency, and let's assume that this agency has a good number of employees, SEOs or link builders, and they do outreach on a daily basis, and they kind of, they can bring you more opportunities basically. So this really kind of scales everything. Especially if you need, I don't know, if we are not talking, but one more time, it's always like kind of very questionable because I recently had like, you know, as for, I just want to, while scalability is very important, I want to circle back to a thing that actually triggered me about costs, because you also mentioned this.
Yeah.
So, and actually, it's not necessarily always that your link builder is way more effective and productive than an agency, because and then what you are going to pay to an agency, because I've recently had a chat with a person that told me, and in fact he was very proud, the link builder and house link builder, he was proud of this number. He told me that he is one of the best link builders in this company. He can build up to 40 links.
Is this per week or per month?
Per month. Per month.
Okay.
Sure, per month. But I have to say that our very best link builders is capable with up to 100. So it's all about like kind of comparing and justification.
Honestly, so both numbers look really high to me. I'm not into link building, so I don't know what's considered normal and acceptable, or even good or bad. But both 40 and obviously 100 is really high. I guess not for one website, but for different websites. Yeah, for different clients. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, for sure, that is for different clients. But one more time, it's always about, also comes down to cost per link, because sometimes even though you have a very good link building team, it might be not so productive and not so cost effective to keep it, just because they are not capable of building links from one side that are not capable of building the same quality of links. From other side, the cost per link is too high. It might be as well, but what else? It's good to mention that when you hire an agency, you not only hire their services, but you also can learn from them. And that's what a lot of our clients forget about that part. So they rarely ask any questions, but they can. And actually, when I hire an agency, I consider this not as a, like, you know, partially as some services, but mostly as a way of getting into some knowledge that they've already gained in a very quick way. So basically, I pay for their expertise and for their knowledge.
I see. I would say here that we, I guess because we are doing something different, but we get a lot of questions from our clients on a daily basis.
No, we very rarely. So, well, we kind of, like, you know, I guess that's due to the process. We just build links, we deliver them, they're happy with the quality, and that's very much it.
Okay, that's interesting, and I guess way more, you know, cost effective, because in our case, in many cases, like, we have to explain. And the weird thing about that is that you start to write a reply to an email that you received from a client, and really in some cases the reply may be that you have to research something for 1-2 hours, you know, and this is a lot of time to spend on just one email reply. And so I'm trying to kind of make things a bit more straightforward. Obviously, we are interested in educating our clients, but at the same time, we are not able to, and let me put it this way, it's better for me when I see that this is a pattern, or that there is this thing that many of our clients are interested in, to do a video about it, to write a blog post, to do a webinar, a joint webinar with another company, and to share this resource, rather than having to repeat the same information over and over again. But I guess that this is in our case. I would like to mention something, or ask something based on something that you mentioned earlier, around pages with commercial value. Okay, and I would like us to make an assumption here, a hypothesis, and say that we are a SaaS company, okay, and we are a video editing software, and we have 20 different use cases right now for our product. And we come to an agency like you, like Digital Olympus, and we ask, okay, look, we have these pages. These are the most important pages for us because we have tried them with PPC, and we know conversion rates are great. When people are in the product, they convert from free trial to paid, and so on and so forth. So these are very important pages. What can you do to help us? I'd like you, if possible, to describe the typical process for a client who may come to you with such a need.
Yeah, so first of all, we always kind of stress out that even though we are capable of building links to commercial pages, it all depends on what kind of commercial page they have. Because if it's just strictly landing pages, and it's let's imagine it's service pages that are not related to services cloud solutions. So it's just I don't know, I sell something, for instance, like an agency, or I don't know, I'm a real estate agent or something like that, I'm a lawyer. So those pages, they are way it's very hard to get links back to those pages and convince people to link back to them. So, but one more time, we work with those pages, but we always stress out that it's it's hard to get links back to those pages. Also, I want to say that we always ask our clients to add a few, at least it might be not strictly content, informational pages, but at least mixed intent, something like that, so that has some content on those pages. Because what we faced, that a lot of websites, and we know about that for a fact, that they don't really want to link back to commercial pages, especially, by the way, after July updates. I don't know why, but a lot of people started to be very concerned about commercial pages. So this happened just after July updates. And we saw actually that a lot of websites that we are somehow connected with, they lost a lot of traffic. So I guess July update, that was a thing.
Yeah, we have experienced similar things for some of our clients, so I can confirm that.
So industry, in different verticals, not only in the digital marketing, in the finance, in the IT software development, a lot of things have changed there in terms of positions, rankings, and some traffic got a serious loss of traffic. Once we look through those pages, because that's very important for us, we need to understand what kind of pages we need to build links to. We need to kind of understand also whether it's possible to get links back to those pages. Then we say, okay, so that's it. We would love to start working with you. We have a list of questions that we share with the client, kind of, let's say, onboarding, where we try to understand better what kind of, for the most important things, like what kind of, let's say, industries, verticals they are interested in, because that's what defines the relevancy in our case. So because we need to understand what kind of website we need to suggest to them, Also, they do kind of very brief explanation of what they do to us. And then what we ask there also, what kind of metrics they use to evaluate the quality of sites. Because one more time, we need to be on the same page here. We need to use the same metrics. Even though we have some internal metrics, we also try to follow our clients' metrics as well. Because one more time, there is no sense to send a website that is not matching their criteria, because they're going to be frustrated. We are going to be disappointed. So, well, we are going to kind of lost our connection here. So we'd rather just follow their requirements, and if it's not possible, we are going to discard this. Because some people, when I ask about this, like they look through this document, they like, you know, starting to suggest things like, you know, referral traffic, for instance. Yeah. I'm like, huh?
Is this a thing, by the way? Like, because I think this is a kind of misconception when it comes to link building, because many people think, and I have heard people saying that, by the way, okay, we are going to get a link, acquire a link from this website. This is going to get us traffic as well. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not an expert in link building, but I know for a fact that it's very difficult to get referral traffic from a single link that you have, unless, I don't know, if the other website, the page.
Something like a newsletter will happen or something like that. So something should kind of pull this page, basically.
Yeah, but I think that from a link building perspective, it's also good as a way to set expectations in the beginning of the campaign, that referral traffic is really difficult to acquire. Yeah, unless if the page where the referring page, correct me if I'm wrong, it's called referring page. Yeah. Unless if the referring page is, I don't know, is getting a lot of traffic, so that it can pass some of that traffic to you.
Well, that's actually another misconception that we found, that, like, you know, we used to think like that as well. And this is something that seems to not happening as well. So as for referral traffic, well, first of all, what we do, we always say that we are not digital PR agency. So we solve some other problems. We are here to solve some other tasks. We are here to do links, which is not the same as digital PR. So if you want a referral traffic, most probably you need to hire a digital PR agency, because they put your brand on, I don't know, on New York Times or something like that, on the New York Times. And I'm not pretty sure whether it's going to kind of bring some traction or not, but that's what I've heard from other guys, that it should bring, basically. Yeah. Like, you know, based on what I've heard so far. As for links, we used to, like, you know, circling back to pages that are ranking extremely well in Google. So, well, the assumption about that it most probably should bring also referral traffic back to a website that this page is referring to. I have to say that it's wrong. Well, we at least, most probably this page should generate tons of traffic, let's say. So if we are talking about pages that generate, like, you know, 1,000 visitors, let's say, something like that, around those numbers, not working. If we talk about pages that generate at least 10K, most probably yes, you're going to get something out of that. But the next question is, sometimes we are not really in a position of getting, websites don't want to touch pages that are ranking extremely well in Google. So they understand those pages are bringing us traction. If we start to edit this page, change something, it might affect our rankings.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
So you have a conflict of interest here. So if you can kind of persuade a website to allocate a link on a page that has some traffic, that is possible. We found that. I'm more than certain that if you come to a website and just, look through their top ranking page and say, okay, I want to get a link on those, even though you have very good relationship with them. Let's say like you're like, close friends, business friends. Well, I want to get a link on those, like on one of those top 3 traffic generated pages. Most probably they are going to decline.
Yeah.
They will be very polite, but they will say, no, thank you.
Yeah, and it makes sense why. Like they know that these pages
yeah,
are
for sure.
important.
If they have like, one more time, sites that are getting traffic, they know I think about SEO. They did it on purpose. Don't like, miracles, they are not happening. So basically you're kind of touching very like, and those sites, they're like, it's very hard to communicate with them when it comes to those pages, because they understand the value of those pages.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I guess the only scenario that might work here, that let's say that some websites, they're right now in the middle of building their visibility. And if you go like, maybe I have a tip that someone can use moving forward. So if you go to Ahrefs and take a look, they have a report that shows the growth of links by specific pages. And if you do this report in a strategic way in order to identify growing pages that are right now in the middle of growing, basically they are most probably pushing those pages, but they haven't yet started to get a decent amount of traffic, and you can try to get a link there.
Okay, yeah.
That might be something, but one more time, this only can be delivered in-house. And circling back to our conversation about in-house teams, that's a perfect kind of scenario when agency can't help you with this, because
I see.
It's very laser targeted, it's very specific. If we do this for clients, then we need to charge them, I don't know, 10 times more, and who can afford this?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'd like to touch a bit on something that you mentioned earlier on relevancy, because I think that this is another misconception when it comes to link building. I guess that back to our example and hypothesis, let's say that we want to build backlinks for a website that's a video editing software, a SaaS. Let's say that you want to start building links for this website. I suppose that not every link from any website can work here, okay? Because people think that as long as we get them, it's okay. But as far as I know, it's not okay. You have to get links from relevant websites. And I would like to hear a bit your thoughts on that, and how you try to find relevancy on the websites that could be potential targets to get a link back from.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic about link prospecting and looking finding some angles that you can actually go with in terms of suggesting sites, because you obviously video editing is a very special thing. Actually, I would say it covers a lot of niches, because people in various niches might need video editing. Even though it might look as a more strictly digital marketing thing, in reality, it's not like that. Let's imagine I am a real estate investor. I might need a video editing too. But I would say here, to avoid any miscommunication, misconception with the clients, I would still go with all type of websites. We might if we understand, if a client confirmed that they'd love to go very broad, they don't care actually. So I would only go with those that really talking about how to promote real estate business. So not about website that are selling houses, which might be also relevant, because this website might also talking about how to sell a house in the most effective way, in the how to make a lovely video and something like that, and then a video editing thing comes up. but that will make a backlink profile less consistent and might bring a penalty. So I would also look as like, because video editing is a very special thing, I think, in that scenario. I would also look at how many backlinks they've already built and whether there is a chance to go beyond the current niches. So we are not going to to kind of go beyond a proportion of acceptable links that are not strictly related to digital marketing or business in general. But I have a very good example. I got a chat with the potential client that is actually, for them, relevancy is a very, very, they need, it doesn't matter whether an agency will do this, they decide to do it in-house, but they need to be very careful because what they do, and they are very, very special project. They're from the healthcare niche, and what they do, basically you have rare diseases, like, for sure, including cancer, for instance, which is a quite rare one. And they connect patients that have those rare diseases and special programs that is sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. So that's kind of grants or something like that. So it's free of charge for a patient because pharmaceutical company, they're testing their products. So they develop something new. They've already gone through testing on, I don't know, like some animals. And right now they're ready to test on people. So they went through all those checks and they're looking for a group of patients for this program. And it's an online thing. So basically you can apply there, but for them, getting links from, let's say, lifestyle website that I just talking about, why you need to sleep well to avoid cancer, that's not going to work. That will actually break so for them, it's very important to also to build their authority and to showcase to Google, because that's a very specific niche and it's very sensitive because it's healthcare. It's related to to something that Google understands, that healthcare is a special thing.
It's your money, your life. Yeah, I think this is
it's your money, your life. Yeah, but definitely it's something that's basically related to your life. So you need to only to get links from websites that are talking about health from a professional perspective. So basically for them, you can't go you can go with aggregators, for instance, can go with hospitals, you can go with some services, cloud solutions, and so on. But websites that are talking about weight loss, no, basically.
I see, but this for you, from the service provider standpoint, could also mean, I don't know, that for some verticals, for some industries, it may be way more difficult to build links. And this may indicate the need for, I guess, dynamic pricing. We have different pricing for, let's say, industries and verticals that are easier to get backlinks for our clients. And we have a different pricing for these industries because we know, as a matter of fact, it's extremely difficult to get backlinks there.
Good thing, never thought about this actually, because what we do right now, basically for us, with the growth of our knowledge and expertise, getting links in niches where we are very, very experienced is kind of very easy for us. So basically we spend less money and less time on getting links, and we just simply relocating all those resources that we are getting from, let's say, like easy niches, I would say, though, that we understand how to work with, to open new ones. So basically we do this at the moment. I would say it might make sense, but it's kind of making the whole story not fair, I would say.
I
understand. You know what I'm talking about.
I understand, yeah.
Even though we don't really share anything, I mean, like openly on our website, still this creates a feeling of kind of unfair game, something like that. So I would be very, very careful with pricing, because sometimes, even though for you it's very, like, you know, obvious, for some people that are not really involved in your process, it might sound like you're playing with numbers and you're trying to cheat someone.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. We are ready to start wrapping things up, and I have one last question for you. I know that you are working and you're delivering great results, by the way, for several high growth SaaS companies. I'd like to let us know, since we touched on that earlier, what have you seen and what in your experience is, let's say, the best tactic for a SaaS company to use in order to acquire relevant and high quality backlinks?
Good question. I would say that I would start from those that are honestly not working. So for instance, sending emails to some, I don't know, like influencers and people that you've never been in touch with, and suggesting your product to give a try. No. I received some emails like this, like, you know, cold pitches, and this doesn't work because let me explain this briefly. Because even though I'm more than certain that you've built an amazing product, most probably this product is not unique. So you have a plenty of similar products, even though your product is the best one. And if you reach out to someone that is in, like, you know, kind of an expert in this industry, I assume this person uses some tools. And you say, okay, dude, I have a free actually tool for you, but in order to start using it, and I want to actually not only to use it, but also to kind of link back to it, to review it, to send me your whatever it is. It might be different angles. So you need to do some work for me, basically. Even though we don't know each other, I have some work for you. Sounds awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the reason why this doesn't work. So you need to, if you want to use this strategy, you need to build relationships. So you need to spend some time in order to understand what kind of things those people are interested, what kind of offer you can do, how you can help them also grow their business, and so on and so forth. As for, okay, circling back to strategies for services cloud businesses. Well, I have good news. You are not alone. There are plenty of people that are also looking for links. So for you, the best way will be just joining the right type of communities. So start from there. So for instance, you can find, it's called B2B Bloggers Boost Group on Facebook. So find this group, join. There are plenty of people that are also involved into link building, and so, well, you can connect with them. There are plenty of Slack channels. I don't really recall any particular ones, but if you kind of Google this, you'll find tons of them. So you can join them. But so the thing that if you want to go with just, you know, not cold outreach and just, you know, using some strategies like broken link building, for instance, or just creating some linkable assets or something like that, that you assume that good enough to kind of pitch and ask for to link back. If you want to go with something like, you know, related to those communities, then you need to think over, because most probably those people are not in a position just giving you links, because it's not a lottery free of charge game, something like that. So you are not really like, you know, joining a link building jackpot. So they're all also interested in kind of getting links as well. So that's what you need to kind of figure out. So most probably how you're going to get those links, because I don't recommend, and that's something I want to stress out, that link exchange, that's what I highly recommend avoiding. So don't do that. So most probably you need to think or how you're going to do that, whether that's going to be guest posts that you're going to do or something else, I don't know. So yeah, most probably, like, you know, finding kind of link opportunities is way easier than you think, but turning them into something meaningful, that's actually the hardest part, I think.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing these insights. We are running out of time, and Alexandra, where people can find more about you and Digital Olympus? Here's my call to action for my listeners.
Yeah, sure. You can always find me on LinkedIn. So just looking for my name, or on Twitter, or you can just, you know, reach out to us if you're interested in link building via our website, digitalolympus.net. Oh, by the way, the last thing that I want to mention, not related to sales pitches at all. If you'd love to learn more about link building, we run bi-weekly, mostly Twitter chats with different experts, not from Digital Olympus. So that's not a sales pitch one more time. Most probably to find those chats, to read through the past ones, you can go to our Twitter, Digital Olympus Twitter. So that might be, like, you know, kind of beneficial for you in case you'd love to learn more about link building.
Okay, that's great. Alexandra, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you very much.